Your DUI defense in Ontario can be won or lost based on a simple 2-hour rule. Let me explain exactly how this works. I'm Dan Joffe, DUI lawyer at Next Law. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn 3 critical things about the 2-hour rule that could completely change the outcome of your DUI case in Ontario. First, I'll explain exactly what this 2-hour rule means and why it matters so much. Second, you'll discover why the timing of your breath test is absolutely critical for the evidence against you. And third, I'll explain how this 2-hour timeline could be your strongest defense strategy. Now, by the end of this video, you'll understand a powerful legal DUI defense that many people face in DUI charges don't even know about. So let's start with the 2-hour rule. What exactly is it? Now, think about this. You've been pulled over and arrested for a DUI. When exactly does the clock start ticking? And here's what you need to know. The police must conduct your first breath test within 2 hours of you driving. Not when they pulled you over, not when they arrested you, but from the last moment you were actually driving. Now, you might be thinking 2 hours seems like plenty of time. What's the big deal? Well, let me explain why this timeline is absolutely crucial. The law specifically states that it's an offense to have a blood alcohol concentration at or above 80 milligrams per 100 milliliters of blood within 2 hours of driving. And this isn't just some random procedure. It's built into our criminal law for a very specific reason. The law states that your breath test results are only accepted as evidence of your blood alcohol level while driving if, and here's what's key, if the test happens within this 2-hour window. And this brings us to the second crucial part, the actual testing timeline. Now, let me paint a picture for you. Let's say you're pulled over at 11:30 p.m. The officer does their investigation, calls for a breath technician, transports you to the police station. All this takes time, a lot of time. And here's what most people don't realize. If that first breath test happens at 1:31 a.m., which is just 1 minute after the 2-hour mark, everything changes. You see, the Crown, they just can't walk into court with your breath test results and say, here they are, Your Honor. They need to collect 2 separate breath samples, and by law, they'll use the lower of these 2 sample readings as the evidence. But here's the key part. If that first test was taken even a minute after the 2-hour window, they need something else. Something many people don't know about. They need a toxicologist, an expert who can calculate backwards and testify about what your blood alcohol level would have been at the time you were driving. And this brings us to perhaps the most important part, how this timeline can become your defense strategy. When we review a client's case, one of the first things we look at is timing. Why? Because if the police conducted that first test outside this 2-hour window, we have powerful grounds to challenge the evidence. And think about what this means. Without a toxicologist testimony, the Crown may not be able to prove their case. And here's something that's critical that most people don't realize. The Crown must prove your alcohol concentration was over that legal limit at the time you were driving, not at the time you were tested. So this is where it gets really interesting. Getting expert testimony isn't as simple as making a phone call. We're talking about costs that can run into the many thousands of dollars. It's expensive for the Crown, it's time consuming, and it adds an entirely new layer of complexity to the Crown's case. This 2-hour rule could be the difference between a conviction and an acquittal in your DUI case in Ontario. Now you understand why this timeline is so critical, how it affects the evidence against you, and how it could become your strongest defense. If you're facing DUI charges in Ontario and want to know if the 2-hour rule could help your case, schedule a free confidential call with me. Link to book the calls in the description of this video. And if you found this video information helpful and want to learn more about defenses against DUI charges, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell. Thanks for watching.